I had a viewer sent me 2 identical VCRs. Just said, here, you can have them. They don't work. Rather than send them to the landfill or to recycling, I said, sure, I'll take them off your hands. I'll see if I can get them going, and then I can donate them or sell them or use them. They arrived today. We're going to look at the first one now and see what the problem is, see if I can get this one running. This has got to be the cheapest VCR I've ever seen in my life. Let's check it out. I was given 2 identical, I guess these are probably Funai. They're Magnavox branded VCRs, don't know anything about them. And I was just told you can have these and you can keep them, you can fix them, you can do what you want. So we're going to see if we can get these running. I don't even know what state of condition they're in. They might even work, but we're going to try and get them going. They'll be on 2 separate videos. We'll start out with that one there, I guess, first. Just because that's the first one I grabbed out of the box. Didn't get remote controls or anything, but if I can get it running, this machine might be worth 20 bucks or 30 bucks or whatever I can get for it. They're hi-fi stereo. Both of them are hi-fi stereo machines, 4-head. So don't know anything about them. Let's pop them apart and first of all see if they even work. This morning I got some upsetting news. Well, bad news, a little bit of bad news. No one died. I got a call this morning from one of the guys down at the parts shop that I've been using, RP Electronics. I've been buying all my parts from them just because they're the closest to where I live, informing me that at the end of the month they are closing their doors. Well, they're not closing their doors. The retail showroom is going away. So they're going to join the ranks of the online only shops. Disappointing news. I hate online. I hate ordering stuff online because it adds, first of all, it adds a delay, but it also adds shipping costs which get passed on. And sometimes, you know, $5 or $10 extra cost for shipping, that will make the difference between somebody wanting to fix something and not. When I get something like this that someone says, now this is mine, right? But I get a VCR like this, someone says, hey, can you look at this VCR? Can you fix it for me? If you want to fix it, you know, I'll put 30 or 40 bucks into it. Okay, great. But if I've got to order some capacitors in and it costs me an extra, you know, 10 bucks to have it shipped out, well, now I can't do it for that. So that becomes a problem, right? So, and I know some people say, oh, just make a big order, just order from DigiKey. They only charge you 20 or 30 bucks or whatever the hell it is that they charge. Just make a big order and, you know, offset the cost. But if I was running a shop and I did this for a living, which I would never do because I got out of this business for 20 odd years ago for a reason. But if I was running a shop and I had, you know, I was going through $1,000 a month in parts, then that might make sense. But I don't. I don't go through much in the way of parts. And you know, if I go through $30 or $40 a month in parts, that's a lot for me, right? So if that. So I mean, it just doesn't make any financial sense to order anything online. I have to get it from a brick and mortar shop. And now we're down to one. We still have one, Lee's Electronics. I hope they stick around forever because I'll have to go and get, I mean, I bought my stuff from them before. I'll have to go back to them. They're a little bit further away, but they're going to be the only game in town, and I hope that they stay around for a long time. Got to support these shops that are around so that they stay in business, because once it becomes financially not feasible for a business to stick around, that's when they close up. Or if the owner of the property jacks up the price of the rent, right, then they shut their doors. So we have to support those businesses. Look at this chassis. Wow. I mean, I've seen cheap before, but holy crap, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. I'm just looking at this thing and just like, really? These are the tape end sensors here that are just sticking out here in the middle of nowhere. It's like they took one piece of steel and they just bent it into the entire chassis. That's one piece of steel there that they just folded and made this the chassis. Wow. Well, let's power this thing up and see if it even turns on. Drum motor doesn't turn on. Power turns on, but the drum motor does not start, and it eats the tape. Okay, well, we got no motor power, it looks like, because the capstan motor didn't appear to turn on either. Now maybe that's because my end sensors are exposed. Let's just shut down some of the light here and see whether, if I cover this up, whether something else will happen. Nope. So, let's begin. Let's begin seeing what's wrong with this one. Is this going to be fixable, or is this going to be garbage? I guess we'll find out. For those of you wondering what this is a Funai machine. Guaranteed 100%. You know how I know that? Because it says Funai right on the back there. Made in China. This was a Walmart special. See that? This was made for Walmart Canada under the Magnavox brand. Have you ever seen anything so cheap looking in your life? I've never experienced a VCR like this, because when I was in the business, which this was probably made long after, what year was it made? Does it say? I think this was probably made after I left the business. I left in 2003. And I think this is probably made after that, but they only draws 14 watts, so it's pretty economical to run one of these. But still, if I can get it running, it would be a good machine. Like, you know, for someone who's got VHS tapes. I mean, there's no plugs or anything on this thing. I have a feeling that this whole chassis is going to all come out in one piece. It's like, this was just, they had this thing down to a machine punching these machines out. This would have all been built by robots. Probably not a person in the plant. Except for someone to feed the parts into the parts hoppers. Okay. Single circuit board. I'm wondering if maybe we have a bad cap or an open circuit protector. I guess the first things first is we'll pull the screws out that hold the chassis. I'm sure that these are soldered on both ends, so that the chassis won't separate from the drum itself, and probably only have a little bit of clearance, but we'll see. As I say, I've never opened up one of these machines before. Had I still been in the business, in the repair business, when one of these came out, they would have never been allowed in the shop. If someone walked in with one of these things, the guys would have just said, no, this is too cheap. We're not fixing this crap. Here, we'll sell you a new one. Now, considering the last VCR I bought from Radio Shack. It was 2002, I think. I paid $89 for a Panasonic VHS Hi-Fi, and I still have it, and it still works. So if a Panasonic made in Japan, actually it was probably made in Malaysia at that point, was 89 bucks, what was this selling for? That should, I think, lift the entire chassis out. Am I missing something? This whole chassis should lift out of here. I think. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'm dealing with this junk. Oh, I've got one more screw. That might help. There's always that one elusive screw that's at the back that's hidden. Now the chassis should drop out. Or it should lift out. Lift out. We have a lift out. See that play on words? Alright, what do we got? Oh my god. Oh my god, look at the circuit board on this thing. This is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I was expecting a full-size board, but I mean, it's empty. I have to give it to Funai though. They really had this down to a science. Look at the size of the board. That is just amazing. How they were able to cram all this into that space. Now, looking at the drum motor and the capstan motor, they're both driven from this little circuit board here that has the capstan motor on it. There's the drum motor. The wires from the drum motor come down and go to this little board, and this little board has the drive IC on here that looks like it does both. And why is there what looks like grease on here on the pins? I guess it's possible that the drive IC is bad, but usually those aren't what go wrong. But the fact that it has no power to either the capstan or the drum motor is an indicator that it's something common between the two. Is it the ribbon cable is damaged, or is it a power supply issue? I see it all 5 volts here. This is going to be the hot side of the transformer. Transformer's right there. So this is going to be the hot side here. We know it turns on, so we know that the power supply at least is starting. I'm just going to stare at the board here for a minute and see if I see any circuit protectors, and then we'll just check for some voltages and see if we're missing any voltages, because that certainly would give us trouble. So I'm going to power it up. I'm going to look and see whether there should be a 5 volt and a 12 volt supply that is going down to this IC. And I can see on the board, I can see markings for all 5 and all 12. So I'm assuming that I have to have a 5 volt and a 12 volt supply. You see, I'm assuming. I don't know. No, we got to have a 5 and 12 volt supply. If there's no power, then the motors are not going to run. So let's power this thing up and turn it around carefully to try not to electrocute myself in the process, because this has got high voltage on it, just to make me nervous. There's got to be a power button on here somewhere. Which one of these is that is the power button, I think. Yeah, that's the power button. I see a red light indicating that there is, in fact, power turned on. I know I get the blue screen of death. Yeah, the blue screen. The setup screen shows up on the TV, so I know that that part's working. So we're going to ground this and carefully measure the voltages and see if there's a 12 volt supply, which there is. I see 12 volts on the meter. So the 12 volt supply is there. How about the 5 volt supply? 5 volt supply is also there. Okay, and that's arriving on this pin over here, I think. 12 volts, yep. And so down, if I go down to the bottom here, I should see a 12 volt and a 5 volt rail on here. Let's just check that ribbon cable out. We have 12. We have 5. We have 0. Could be this drive IC is bad. Wet finger it, see if things will spin. See if things will jump. Oh, okay. When I wet fingered, the drum spins up. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Did you guys see that? Here, I'll see if I can. Can you see the drum spinning? I'm sure you can. So when I wet fingered the IC here, the drum turned on. So we know the IC works. I wonder if I can get the capstan motor to spin, doing the same thing. Because the capstan motor should also want to spin when I okay. Capstan motor spinning. Okay, good. So that works. I wonder if it's a mode switch problem. You think? You think a mode switch could cause? Yeah, mode switches I think could. Let's just power this down. I'm going to clean the mode switch just to give me a starting point, just so that I can say that I've done it. Because certainly the motors are spinning, so we know the motors work, but they don't. When I put a tape in, they don't spin up. So mode switch is right there. I can see it. I'm wondering if I'm able to just kind of undo a couple screws and lift the circuit board out. That would be wonderful if that was the case. To say, I've never worked on one of these before, and I never want to work on one again, although I will have to, because I've got another one. And see, if I can get these running, I'm going to just sell them. I don't think I need to keep one of these machines, although they are kind of cool. Just the very fact that they're so minimal. I mean, I can't get over, like, I still can't get over, that's a VCR. 3 chips, 3 large chips. I can't get over that. It's like, wow. It's easy to change the belt. There's only 2 belts too, loading belt and that one. Here's the mode switch. You got a LED down here. That'd be the infrared, or is not. What is that one? One of them's the infrared LED. I guess this is one of these is rotation sensor is what it is. One of them's a tape sensor and the other's a rotation sensor. Yeah, this is the rotation sensor here. One's a photo transistor and the other's the LED. The light shines up, and there's going to be a hole in this gear, I bet. I think, yeah, that's what it does. So the light shines up through this light pipe here, which is used to detect when the tape is at the end. When the light pipe sticks out, there's another little arm that sticks out there, and it shines down through this gear. And the gear, it interrupts the light flow when the motor is turning. That way, if the reels stop turning, that will stop and it will go into an emergency shutdown. That is how it works. Here is our mode switch. It should pop apart. It even tells me what position it's in. It's got a little marking on the board. There's the home position. This should pop apart like that. Oh, it's kind of dirty. Let's go get some cleaner and we'll clean that up, and then try it and see whether the motors turn on. Stranger things have happened with mode switches, right? Let me go grab a Q-tip and some cleaner. And I will say that I am thoroughly enjoying the air conditioner that was provided to me by Drio. I've got a couple of their fans. I'm a fan of Drio. I got a couple of their tower fans and their air conditioner that they sent me, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's making my life here on a very hot day. Well, today's not super hot, not like it was the other day when we had the heat wave hitting, but it's still pretty warm out. But it's making it bearable here in the workshop, because right now it would have been it's nice. It's only about 24 degrees in here now, but it would have probably been 30 or even hotter had I not turned the AC on. And it's one of these systems that is connected, so I have an app that I can control it, and the fan too. I got one of the fans is not, but the other one is. I can control it remotely. So for example, I was out this morning picking up parts and stuff at RP Electronics, the shop that is closing up their retail operation, but I went and picked up parts this morning, and I knew I had this to work on. So on my way back, when I was still a good, when I was leaving the shop, basically, I went on my phone, I turned on the app, and I turned on the AC back at the shop before I got home. So therefore, when I got home, it was nice and cool in here. Now, how cool is that? My old one in my office, I got a window shaker in there that I use when I'm editing and stuff when it gets hot. I do have central air, right? But when I'm running equipment, when I'm running the computer and stuff for editing, it tends to get a bit warm. I have a plasma TV I use as a monitor for when I'm editing. So I have the second air conditioner that I can turn on and off as I need it as I'm working. But I got to be there to turn it on. I guess I could get a smart plug. But anyway, just having the ability to remotely start it from my phone before I even get home, it's great. I've only got two smart appliances in my place. One is the fan by the same company, Diro, or Drio, or however the hell they pronounce it, and it's air conditioner. But it works great.
Actually, I have three. I can open and close my garage door as well from my phone.
Because I tell you right now, if it wasn't on, I wouldn't be working in here today. I'd just say forget it. It's too hot by this time in the afternoon. It's just too hot. Okay, clean the switch. We'll put it back to its home position and reinstall it. Put the screws back in and see whether this thing is doing anything different. And I say, knowing how mode switches have been in the past, it wouldn't surprise me if the stupid thing started to work. Just got to get that pin lined up with the switch. Like that. And throw the two screws back in the board that hold the circuit board in place. One of them is a plastic screw and the other is a metal screw because it grounds the chassis over here. It wasn't there, it was over here. That's one of the screws that hold the unit together, I think. Here's a grounding screw over here. Okay, we'll power it up and fire a tape in and see whether anything changes. See if we get any motors coming on now. All right. Oh, look at that. Woohoo! The motor started up. Oh no, this thing's working. Oh, it's not going to probably do much because I got light shining on here. Well, let's just see whether there is a picture on the TV. One of these is input, and one is an output. That looks like that's an output there. Let's, this tape is at the end. Let's just remove the tape. Where is the face? Got to figure out which button is which. All right, stop, eject. Let's rewind it. How do we stop it? Oh, that's menu. So it's got to be this one. Stop. Rewind. The thing is so laughable like this. It would always be worth it to mount something like this on a wall. It's just like, here's a VCR, just stick it up, like, although you got high voltage over here, which you don't want to get your fingers into, but it's just laughable, the chassis on this thing. Unbelievable. Let's see if I get a picture. Does that answer your question?
In North America, 45% of the population suffers from some form of allergy symptoms brought on by airborne pollution.
Forward search. Reverse search. Actually, this thing doesn't have a half bad picture, you know?
I think something funny. This is an old production I did, like 25, 30 years ago I did this video. I didn't notice the girls holding hands when I shot this out in Kitsilano. That shot. Wasn't even paying attention when I was editing it. I was focused on putting together the project. We shot it on a long lens from way up the street, so people had no idea that they were being recorded for this corporate video.
This is in the tape. It is working. Excellent. Let's. I'm going to throw this back in its chassis, and then we'll do some more testing. Damaged tape. Oh, that was fun. Watch this. Okay, let's watch that damaged section of tape. Go around here again. It was interesting. It's actually stuck to the drum. Here it goes. Is he going to kick the tape out? Yeah! It kicked the tape out! Yeah, okay. But it didn't eat it. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's put this thing back together. At least into its cabinet, so that I feel a little safer with my fingers around it. I mean, as laughable as this unit looks, it's actually really ingenious. Like, I'm looking at this unit. Look at this. Like, there's your tape detection, your slack detection. So when it's playing, if something were to stop the take-up spool, the clutch slips, and that light beam stops being interrupted that's shining through here, and it goes into stop, and it works going forward. If your take-up spool were to stop for whatever reason, it would go into emergency shutdown. Now, a lot of other machines had, rotation sensors on the take-up and supply. Really, the only reason you need them on the supply side is for calculating how much tape is remaining. If you were in rewind or fast forward, and the pinch roller is not engaged, and say your belt were to break, the tape would stop. Yes, it would get eaten, but the tape would stop. But if you were in play and the drive belt were to break or something stick, and the capsule motor continues to turn, it will pull all that tape out, and you'll have tens of meters of tape all looped up in here until something jams, and then even at that, it would probably continue to pull the tape. So you need a rotation sensor on the take-up, but not necessarily on the rewind side. Although it would still work, because in rewind, even though the tape spool is turning over here, you got to remember when your tape is turning, it's turning that as well. So you only need one real sensor, and it will detect if the belt breaks or falls off. It will detect that it's stopped turning, and it will shut it down. If that wasn't there though, and the belt broke, again, if it happened on fast forward or rewind, you'd know pretty quick, because it would stop, the tape would stop turning. But on play, it would just continue to pull the tape out, and you'd end up with a big mess. But looking at this chassis, when I first looked at this thing, I was kind of laughing at it, but looking at this chassis now, this chassis is actually very cool. It's very cool. When you think about the engineering that went into a VCR, if you go back and look at some of those early VCRs from the late 70s or early 1980s, all the crap that they had, boards, board after board after board, little modules, Panasonic with their little stupid ceramic modules that are a piece of crap, with those surface mounted caps on them that fail. And then you look at this, the most minimalist VCR I have ever put my eyes on, with a circuit board that's about the size of a circuit board that was in a portable radio a few years ago. And they've got that entire circuitry down to 3 chips. There's a couple of surface mounted, looks like resistors. I don't see any surface mounted caps. They're all through hole caps. These aren't going to give you trouble, right? These aren't going to give you any trouble. There's one adjustment here, and that's the switch point. I think that's the only adjustment on the entire board. Yep, the FG switch point for the switch point for the heads. Probably PG switch point, PG shifter. But looking at this chassis, I'm actually quite impressed. And yeah, I could get $20 for it, maybe $30 for it. But you know, I might be further ahead just to hang on to this as a playback machine for doing tape transfers, because this is a machine that's it's not a machine that's going to just fail. I like some of the Panasonic crap that I've got that's got those stupid modules on it that we all know how I feel about those ceramic modules. I fixed one the other day. But looking at this, I can say this is way more reliable just looking at it, because there's not much to go wrong, right? Got a couple plastic gears, but they're pretty beefy plastic gears. But I mean, it's neat. One piece of metal. It's just amazing how they did this. Everything, one piece of metal that's been folded for the entire chassis, even for the mounting for the drum. Oh, 4 ICs. Sorry, I forgot about that one. But yeah, no, I'm not a lot of things impress me in electronics, and I have to say that this is the first one of these machines I've ever seen, and this one impresses me. I'm just looking to see if there's a date on here when this thing was made. Anyway, let me grab the cabinet. We'll throw this thing together. Okay, so this looks like the date of manufacture on this one. So it was 04. That would be 2004. 7th month, July. 03. July 3rd, 2004 was when this cabinet was injection molded. So the VCR had to be made sometime after that, and probably not far after that. So this is a 2004 model. 2004, maybe 2005 when it was put together. Yeah, I don't see anything on the back here, but it was made for Walmart Canada. So this was one they had an exclusive on. 2004 or 5. I fully expect this unit to go together just as easy as it came apart. In other words, just take the unit and just drop it in. Just tilt it in like that and just drop the entire unit down. It should just drop in place and just like that. It's like, wow. I think there's something else that's got to drop in there. There we go. There, that's it. And a few screws, and the top cover goes on it. And how's the saying go? Bob's your uncle. This was truly in the era of the throwaway VCR. It really was. Front cover just going to snap on. Open up the lid. Line up the tabs. And it should just snap together. Just like that. Alright, we'll plug it in again and throw another tape in it and make sure everything is still functional. And okay, this is color bars and tone. Yeah, it looks like VHS. Nice and soft. Look at the smear down here in the chroma. That's VHS though. We'll just do our full speed rewind here and see how this goes. How fast does this go on rewind? I bet it moves pretty quick. Well, it's not as fast as my Panasonic, but it moves along. Again, nothing fancy on this. No time display or anything. It's got an on-screen display, but without the remote control, I'm not going to be able to access that. But for a basic machine, for playing back tapes, nothing wrong with it. And I have to remember that Funai, they were the last company making VCRs. And I believe their last VCR rolled off the line in, 2016? They made them, like really, till 2016. I think that's when they stopped making them. I have a couple of Toshiba DVD recorders with VHS players on them. And they're not the same as this. You know, they're cheap, but I don't think they're the same chassis as this one. So this was, I don't know how many years this particular chassis ran for, but it certainly wasn't the last one that they made, because I would have remembered. I mean, the Toshiba combo units they're cheap, and they're similar to this, but I think they're even cheaper than this one. Although maybe it was the same. It just, maybe they were the same chassis. I have to go back and look at one. I don't think they were quite the same though. The drum motor was different on them. It still was on the top, but it was a larger circuit board on them. Like you couldn't see all the individual coils like this. Like the magnet was bigger. The rotor was larger. Anyway, I rewound the tape back to the beginning. It's playing, as you can see. Everything is good. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. I wonder if the next one of these is going to be the same. I guess we'll find out when I get to it. Thanks for watching.